What do these items have in common? A desktop web browser, an email client, an Amazon Echo device, and a Tesla. Well, they're all opportunities to engage with your customers, and I'll show you how in a live demonstration. But first, let's take a closer look. The proliferation of these digital touchpoints continues, as does user expectations. Mobile applications, social channels, email, landing pages, online storefronts, IoT devices, and customer service chatbots. The last best experience anywhere becomes the minimum expectation everywhere. And the heart and soul of these experiences is content. Unfortunately, traditional content management solutions that were born during the web era take a web-first approach. And while we've endeavored to mold them to the changing landscape, their root still lies within the web-based touchpoints. As a result, your message may not be getting delivered effectively, or worse yet, not delivered at all. Consider the following. What if you had a modern and centralized repository where both your content and assets could be managed? Would you like to effectively deliver your message in a consistent manner across all those touchpoints? And are you interested in leveraging the latest innovations around AI to help you better manage your content? Allow me to introduce IBM Watson Content Hub, a cloud-based, AI-powered, head-optional content management service to support all touchpoints. It's designed to be easy for marketers, powerful for developers, and you can be up and running in minutes. Now, Watson Content Hub provides a rich authoring service where content can be authored, assets can be managed, and Watson AI services can be leveraged for cognitive tagging. We'll see these services and more shortly in the demonstration. The solution is delivered as a global cloud-based platform and also includes the Watson AI service and Akamai CDN at no additional cost. CDNs, or content delivery networks, provide thousands of servers around the world and ensure your content is delivered to the user in the fastest possible manner, no matter their location or touchpoint. And for developers, Watson Content Hub provides a REST-based API so that applications can be easily content-enabled. Such examples include mobile applications, Angular or React-based applications, web templates, and Alexa skills, just to name a few. The key here is Watson Content Hub has a centralized and AI-powered repository, which can deliver content to multiple touchpoints in an effective manner. Just some examples of these touchpoints are included on the right-hand side and include a website, a digital storefront, a mobile application, email, billboards, kiosks, and more. Well, let's wrap up this introduction and take a closer look at Watson Content Hub in action through a demonstration. So as we begin this demonstration, let's quickly take a look at things from an end user perspective. And then we'll spend a large majority of time from the marketer or practitioner perspective. So here we see our end user starting his or her day and doing what most of us do, checking email, checking the current status of meetings for the day. And he sees that he's received an email from Freshery. Now, Freshery is a fictitious company that we've created for this demonstration, but as you can suspect, it deals with delivering healthy and fresh food and meals to their customers. Now, he decides to click through on this email and is taken to a personalized experience or personalized landing page. Now you can see here it shows some rich, delicious looking food. In addition, he sees some personalized recipes that matches his or her taste. and also has some interest around upcoming events. Now, in addition to just surfacing up content, being able to also provide ways to provide feedback, whether through application forms or application components, is also part of the overall experience that's provided for this end user. Now, the question you might be asking yourself is, how was this content delivered to both the email? How was it delivered in a personalized way to the site? How is this site different than others? What makes it different from my current site that I have today? Let's take a look. So let's put on a different hat. Let's continue the demonstration from the marketer or the practitioner perspective. So here we see we are currently within the Watson Content Hub. Now, one of the nice things about the Content Hub is it's part of our overall common shell. And what this means to you is that you get access to the capabilities that's provided to you by the hub, but as part of our Watson customer engagement portfolio or offering, this common ribbon also provides quick and easy access to the companion offerings as well, such as campaign automation, if that's something that you subscribe to, and even analytics or journey analytics as well. And we'll take a closer look at these in a bit. But what I wanted to do is walk through some specific points. The first is around how Content Hub allows you to manage your assets with AI. Then we'll talk about authoring with ease. And then lastly, we'll talk about delivering with confidence. So in regards to managing with AI, you can see here we currently have some assets and content already defined within the hub. So let's go ahead and add some assets. Now I'm going to select a group of them here, but at the same time, this could also be done through a command line or through a scripted or automated process, particularly useful if you're getting assets from a design agency and want to automatically ingest them into the hub. But in this case, we're going to manually select a group of them. And it's going to happen pretty quickly here, but what you saw was the IBM Watson AI capabilities automatically analyzing images or actually any asset that I put into the hub and applying what it believes to its own tags or concepts that best describes these assets. So you can see here for this first picture, it sees some muffins, it sees some food. And by the way, if you do have some assets that might already have tags or metadata, that's part of it, particularly those that you do get from a design agency. Fear not, those tags are honored and also ingested as well, so you don't lose anything. But Watson still does go ahead and apply what it believes are additional tags that it thinks best describes that asset. Some additional examples are here as well. In addition to just images, and it does recognize people. It recognizes faces. If you're a celebrity or famous enough, it'll actually recognize your name. In this case, I stuck a picture of myself in here. I guess I have not reached that celebrity status yet. Maybe one of these days I'll get there, but hey, it got my color right, and it thinks I'm younger than I am, so I guess that's a good thing. But in addition to pictures, you can also put in documents. It'll pull out keywords, concepts, entities from these different documents as well. So the big deal with tagging here is it adds a level of consistency. So if I tag an asset one way versus the way you tag it, we might apply different descriptions to it. By leveraging Watson and the AI capabilities, it adds that level of consistency. The second is that it removes that manual task. Quite frankly, it was something that most of us may have never done just because it was an extra step. But by leveraging Watson and its capabilities, now it's all done automatically for us. And third, these tags, you'll see they come in pretty useful for when we want to search and find related assets to be used within our content. Now let's move on. Now that we've talked about managing, or Now let's move on, and now that we've talked a bit about managing with AI, let's talk about authoring with ease. Now, I could just stop here and use some of these assets or images and documents as is, and in that case, you're using this more of a digital asset management capability. But it's so much more than that. More than just storing images and files, you can actually tell a story or create content around these assets as well. So let's talk about authoring with ease here. And since we're talking about food, we could come here and choose to create a new recipe. Now, these different content types is something that can be defined by the practitioner. Of course, they have to have the right level of access control. For the sake of time, I won't go through every specific option in here, but just so that you have the control, you have the ability to define your own content types. Content types can be an announcement, a promotion, a news story, or in this case, a recipe. And you can define that a recipe has to have a title, a summary, a picture, what fields are required. So this is all something that you have control over. Now, I can choose to create a new recipe from scratch, but just to save some time, I do have something that's sitting here in a draft mode. So let's go ahead and open this up in the draft mode so I could continue from where I left off. Now you can see that this content type recipe, which is a blueberry muffins, contains some fields that have already been filled out for us, so that looks great. The one thing that is missing though is the image here. So let's go ahead and search for an image that we can use. And we could just type in a keyword, and thanks to tagging by Watson, we'll quickly find what we need. The other piece I'd like to point out is thanks to our partnership with Shutterstock, you have access not just to your own images that you've put into the hub, but you have access to the hundreds of thousands of images that are available via the Shutterstock library as well. Now again, that's something you can turn off if you desire. I'm going to go ahead and select this blueberry one because that fits my needs. In addition, I am going to adjust the title, add something else in there so it's a little bit more dynamic and real time as part of the demo. So, as we get to the last part of the demonstration here, you'll see the title changing accordingly. And as I wrap up this content item, the last thing I want to talk about is actually the image itself. Now, one of the nice things about the hub is that it's able to deliver content and images in an effective way depending on the touch point. And this also includes the ability to generate different profiles or renditions for your images. So in this case, I have a large, medium, and small. You have full control as to the different types of profiles you want. In retrospect, I probably should have called mine's desktop, tablet, and smartphone. But again, you have as many as you want, you name it whatever you want, and you can have as different sizes depending on your needs. So it's pretty flexible in that sense. The other piece, which is also pretty powerful, is if I do want to make some changes to the image, I do have that capability to do that. We have this built-in, fairly robust editor, but let's go ahead and just make a very quick change. You can see here we could do things like adjust the contrast. I'm going to change the vignette, maybe make the edges a little bit darker. It's pretty powerful. You have the ability to add overlay stamps or text. So in this case, let's maybe call this it's yummy. Oops. As an example, and just maybe move this up a bit. And that looks good to me, and I'll go ahead and save and close this. Now we still have the ability to go in and make some adjustments to our different renditions if we so choose. They look fine to me, so I'm going to leave them as is, but just to give you an idea, you can always come in and make some adjustments and zoom in and make some changes as needed. Maybe like for the medium, I might want to zoom in on the spoon. But again, I'm happy with what's there, so I'm just going to leave those as is. So now that we've got our image set and our profiles defined in our different variations, now I'm going to go ahead and publish this. And it's smart enough to connect the dots and let me know that in order to publish the content item, the referenced image also needs to be published. I can also set up publish dates or publish schedules, but for now I'm going to go ahead and publish that immediately. Now we see the content and the image has been published, and the question you might be asking yourself at this point is, where did it go and how is it being used? And this is at a point where we're going to move towards our last part of the demonstration here. So you might recall we began with looking at managing with AI and how Watson helps us organize the assets and content within the hub, thanks to its automatic tagging capability. We then spent some time looking at the authoring with ease and creating a story, or in this case, a recipe around some of these images that we added. And now in the final piece, we'll talk about delivering with confidence. Delivering this content item to multiple touch points, the web, the mobile, the email, and IoT devices such as an Alexa device and even a Tesla car. The first touch point we're going to explore is email. Now let's go ahead and take a look at one of our mailing templates, which in this case will be our Freshery mailing template. This might look familiar because this is what we started the demonstration off with. Let's get into the editor view. Now, one of the nice things about creating this email is being able to insert assets directly from our centralized repository. So I don't need to go in and re-upload images and redo any changes that I've made. And I don't have to worry about not being consistent in my messaging. If, for example, I wanted to highlight the blueberry muffins that we were working on, I can quickly choose to browse my repository. Notice that same similar picker appears with the same filtering capabilities. There's that blueberry muffins. I'll select it, and it's automatically inserted into the email. Now, it's not copied out of the hub. It's still being served directly from the hub, so I'm still benefiting from the Akamai CDN. So this is just one example of leveraging the assets from the hub within an email touch point. Let's explore an additional touch point. And in this case, I'm going to bring up my mobile device. Now what you're seeing here is my iPhone that's tethered to my laptop. And the important thing to note is this Freshery app that's on the bottom right corner. So I'm going to go ahead and open up this Freshery app, and you can see that it starts, and the first thing that shows up is our content item or recipe that's created. So Freshery actually created a native mobile app, or in this case, this is a hybrid app, and it's making real-time calls out to the hub, getting the content and bringing it in and displaying within the mobile device. So this is not responsive web design. An important factor or important piece I want to point out here is this is a mobile app. And the mobile app is pulling the data, pulling content from the hub, and the mobile app has full control as to how this data is best displayed. What's the most effective way to display this content? And you can see here in this case I have just a list of recipes. As I select one, it chooses to display it in this specific fashion. I was working with another client where their marketing team, they were happy with the website. Their challenge or their pain point was their mobile app. They had a development team create the mobile app, and anytime they wanted to change the banner, the promotion, or change something within the app, it became an IT or development effort. And in some cases, the customers or the end users had to update their mobile application from the store. So what they ended up doing was content enabling the app. So now it pulls the content and imagery and information from the hub And what this allows them to do is just go into the hub, create content, make some changes just like we did before, and once something is published, it automatically will flow into the mobile application. So that's just one example of the hub and the benefits around this specific touch point. So now that we've looked at the email, now that we've looked at how this might work within the mobile application, let's take a look at something we're all fairly familiar with, and that's the web or the browser. Now, when we're delivering this content to a website, Content Hub is head optional. And what that means to you is that if you have an existing CMS or some tooling that is managing a site today and you might be happy with it and you just want to get this information delivered out through your existing site, Content Hub can serve as a headless fashion. So in that case, it's just taking this information and pushing it out to your existing site tooling. And to show you an example of how that would work, I'm going to leverage our Digital Experience Manager solution. Now here's an example of our Digital Experience Management platform. It provides a full digital user experience and is an example of some tooling that's actually running this site. So it's branded Freshery, but it's actually being run by Digital Experience Manager. The neat thing about Digital Experience Manager is it's able to blend applications, content, product data, all together in a seamless and personalized way onto the page. Now, if I go into an edit mode and I choose to make some changes, for example, I may not necessarily like this banner, the tooling allows me to browse and select assets from my centralized repository. So you can see here's that same picker with the same set of assets appearing to me. And let's just select this blueberries one. And just like before, it is pulling it in directly from the hub and displaying it within the site here. So it's an existing solution, Digital Experience Manager, running, maintaining the page, but it's surfacing up content and information from my centralized repository in Content Hub. Now that is Content Hub being used in a headless fashion. Now let's talk about the other use case where Content Hub is being used to actually generate the site itself. And why would you ever want to do that? Well, I've been working with some clients that are actually looking at leveraging some of the new modern frameworks such as Angular or React and generating these single page apps for their site. And this is actually what Content Hub allows you to do. So you can see here, Content Hub allows you to generate different types of sites. And there's our Freshery site that we first saw at the beginning of the demonstration. The important piece here is although that this is an Angular-based application, or it could be React or Vue or one of the other frameworks, Content Hub allows business users to come in and leverage the business user tooling to manage the overall experience within these single-page apps. So say, for example, I've already, for the sake of time, chose to create a blueberry muffins page. Obviously, it's blank right now because there's nothing on it. But let's go ahead and add some content on here. So you can see that this page template is actually looking for a recipe to be displayed on it. Here's our picker again, but this time it's displaying a list of recipes, so something that's going to match with the page. Let's go ahead and select this blueberry muffins one. And you can see that the recipe, the content, the information is showing up directly within the page now. Now I can go in and I could start to make some inline editing and make some changes just like we could do in a traditional CMS. But the important piece here is with Watson Content Hub, being able to also generate an entire site, what it's doing is it's blending the traditional world of content management and inline editing with the modern world of Angular and React and single page apps. So that's what you're getting here. I've worked with one client where they were working on a React based app and they wanted to allow the business users to come in and manage the pages, manage the overall site structure, and manage the content on it. And by deploying the React app into the hub, they were able to do just that. So far we've talked about different touch points, email, mobile, web. Let's wrap this up and let's talk about some of these newer touch points such as Alexa, and save the best for last, the Tesla device. Now, the next touch point we're going to be talking about is conversational agents. Now, this could be chatbots, this could be something like Google Home, or it could be the device that you see here. Let's try it out. Alexa, ask Freshery for the latest news.
Here's what I found. Brian wants you to know about the new berry blueberry muffins.
So that's just a fairly simple example, but it shows, you notice it was reading the title that we just created. And what's happening here is instead of hard coding a response or hard coding the skill that's created by these chatbots or these conversational agents, you can content enable them to change the conversation depending on maybe a different promotion or different messaging that needs to be sent out. And this is just one example of the capabilities of leveraging the hub to reach your users in a personalized way through some emerging touch points. Now, speaking of emerging touch points, let's take a look at the Tesla. Now, one example, this is a Model 3, but the Model S applies. And actually, most cars that are connected to the internet now, these new interfaces can serve as another place to interact and deliver information to your end user. And at first thought, you might think that this is far-fetched, but the reality is the touch points are exploding. And now you have IoT devices where dashboards and information and screens are displayed on appliances. My dishwasher is connected to the internet for all things. But to show you an example of how this can work, let's take a walk outside here and sit down in one of these cars and see how our Freshery content will display within this type of interface. Here we are in a Tesla Model 3, and let's go ahead and zoom in on this center console. Provides access to a wealth of information, personalized music, news, alerts. You can control the car through it. And if you're thinking, well, this is a lot of information to have in a car, don't worry. Technically, the car almost drives itself. And since it's always connected to the internet, you're always getting the most recent information. Now, one of the nice things is you can set up your own dashboard of information. So let's go ahead and take a look at one of mine's. And you can see in my case, I've just set up two small widgets, nothing too fancy, but gets the point across. And in this case, it's showing some news and weather. Now, the news that it's showing, there's the Freshery muffins that we just recently published and we saw on some other channels. And I can go ahead and choose to click through on it. And our content appears. Now, obviously, I can scroll down and perform some action here, but I think it gets the point across that this is just another touch point. This is just another place where we can engage with the users, engage with your customers, and thanks to the flexibility of Content Hub, be able to deliver this content to these different types of devices or touch points. Now let's go ahead and take a step back and head back inside and wrap things up. Okay, we're back in the hub, and as we wrap things up, I wanted to point out that you can use the hub to set up different experiences or tenants to hold your content. And just one example, here's, we spent some time on Freshtree, but here's an example of our Stockholm sample storefront. The product information is actually coming from a commerce engine, but the overall experience, the content itself is being driven by Content Hub. So as such, your business users will manage the site from within the Content Hub itself. So just an example of using a Content Hub and its authoring tools to manage a storefront. Other examples of different types of experiences and sites can be found on our samples page for Content Hub. Everything from different starter stores. There's that Freshtree one that we talked about, chatbot conversation example, and much, much more. Well, I hope you enjoyed the demonstration. We went through a lot in a short time, but remember we started off from an end user perspective and saw the experience from an end user starting their day, viewing some of that Freshtree content through the email, clicking through and coming to a landing page with a full site experience with consistent and personalized content. And then we spent a large majority of the time exploring Content Hub from the marketer or practitioner's perspective. We began by taking a look at how the Hub allows you to manage your content with AI. Next, we took a look at authoring with ease and creating a story or a recipe in this case around that image assets that we added. And lastly, delivering with confidence, being able to deliver our message in a consistent way to multiple touch points, which included an email, mobile device, desktop browsers, IoT devices such as Alexa, and even Tesla Touchpoint. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, Brian Daniel, briand@us.ibm.com. And if you're interested in exploring Content Hub further, we do offer the ability for you to start a complimentary trial. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.